What is up, and welcome back to another episode of the photography show that real photographers need to take a Xanax before they watch. This past week I took a photo walk with a film stock that most well-respected professionals in the field would say is a film stock that's really hard to hate. So I guess I'm here to see how much I can get you to hate Kodak Tri-X 400, one of the most well-respected black and white film stocks in the world. One of the reasons I think a lot of people love this film, and one of the reasons that I personally like shooting on black and white in general, is how inexpensive it is. This particular film stock is considered to be really versatile, especially for its price. That being said, if you don't expose properly, like I tend to, then this film stock can be expensive, just like any other film stock can be. But I was able to find this and pick it up for around $5 to $6, and online I'm seeing about the same prices. So $5 to $6 versus Portra 800 right now, selling for upwards of $11 a roll. This is definitely a screaming deal. The day I chose to shoot this roll wasn't a great day to choose. It was pretty overcast, and if you know anything about shooting black and white, you know that you do have to play around with like contrast, exposure, light and dark a lot more, and when you get a cloudy day and you're shooting outside, it flattens everything out. So it's not the greatest conditions for testing this particular film stock, but let's be honest, if you're looking at any of my photos as a good measure of how good a film stock is, you're probably looking in the wrong place. So this day, unsurprisingly, I brought out my Leica R3 with a 50mm. This is just the single cam 2.0 50mm, so it's nothing special, and it's unmetered, which means I was metering all of these shots through my iPhone. A great experience unless you don't pay for the metering app, in which case every time you go to meter a photo, you'll end up watching 30 to 45 seconds of Animal Crossing ads. Not the worst way to spend 30 to 45 seconds. I started off this shoot on the University of Utah campus for no other reason besides I was already there to turn in a paper late. As I was using this film for the first time, the first few shots, or the first like 12 shots, were pretty rough. A lot of them didn't come out at all, and some of them came out overexposed and some of them came out underexposed, but I think there were still a few salvageable shots. Of all the shots I got on campus, I think that this was probably my favorite. I think it really shows A, how realistic the film grain is, and B, just how much the film grain can capture in terms of dynamic range. There's a lot going on this scene, and nothing is really lost to this film stock, which is pretty impressive, and I also just like the way that I framed it up in the mountains in the background. If you couldn't tell, it was a pretty cold and gross day, but I think that kind of matches this film grain. It matches the look, and I really like how it turned out. Speaking of dynamic range, I also like this shot for showing off the dynamic range of this film. Again, another circumstance where you can't really tell as much through the photo as I could when I was shooting it, but the interior of that little area that I was shooting was really, really dark, especially in comparison to the exterior of it. And this film stock did a really, really awesome job of capturing all of that and not losing detail really in the highlights or in the shadows. As the day pressed on, it remained pretty overcast, but that didn't stop a friend and I from going on a hike. So we decided to go up to Leica Falls, up Little Cottonwood Canyon. If you've ever been there before, it's absolutely beautiful. We didn't know exactly what the weather was going to be like up the canyon, and when we got there, it was hailing, which isn't great for an R3 that isn't weather sealed. But I decided to just hunch over my camera and play the creepy pedophile photographer and continue to take shots. I come to this area fairly regularly because I think it's a really beautiful area. I also like it because sometimes there will be climbers up on these rock walls, which is always cool to take photos of. This day was pretty mellow. There wasn't anyone up there. I think it's a little bit too early to have climbers up on these walls, and hikers were staying back because it was pretty muddy. But once we got up to the spot, there was a decent amount of snow around this creek, which I thought looked really cool. So I ended up centering most of my shots around that area. Like this shot that was shot directly into the sun, I think it turned out really well. After nearly polishing off the roll at Leica Falls, I decided to head over to my good buddy Glenn's house and finish the last couple of shots of the roll by taking pictures of his supermodel dog, Lando. that you all have come to know and love. Overall, I'm not a huge black and white photographer, but I do think that this film stock has its advantages. One is definitely the price, especially if you're just getting into film photography and you want to produce some really high quality images, but you don't want to spend the amount of money that you would spend on Portra 400 or Portra 800, then this is a great option to get that crisp clarity, to really nail your exposure and start understanding all of those things before jumping into a color film stock, which can cost double, sometimes even triple what this film stock costs. Also, if you're a black and white photographer, you probably already know about this film stock. This really is regarded as one of the best black and white film stocks in the world, and there is good reason for it. The contrastiness is amazing. The grain is realistic. It's not too fine, but it's certainly not coarse. And it really is just a style that you can't replicate with a digital camera. All right, guys, that's all I've got for you today. I hope that you got a little bit of info or even a tiny bit of entertainment out of this video. And if you did, I hope you'll give it a like and subscribe to this channel for more. Like I've been telling you in the past few videos, we are doing videos every other day. I've been saying every 2 days. I don't really know what the difference is. I don't know what the correct terminology is. Is every 2 days the same as every other day? Is every 2 days on the third day, or is it on the second day? I don't really know, but every other day is what we're going to be doing. So we're going to be posting one on, let's see, Saturday, and then the next one on Monday. So stay tuned for those. I'll make sure to update all my social media channels, and thanks for tuning in, guys. It really means a whole lot. We'll see you on the next one.